Welcome to Environmental Coffee House. I am Sandy Shellis, and today I've got a pretty good show, I think. We're going to talk about confirmation bias. We're going to talk about the things that are floating around the internet that actually, for me, what got me started on this were all these forwards on Facebook. You know, we have the chats are on Facebook, and I know a lot of you on YouTube don't necessarily use Facebook, but there are always these viral videos. These videos going viral, but they get forwarded, and a lot of, and maybe not so much the followers of Environmental Coffee House, but it's all kinds of people I know, and it really gets me. So I decided that I was going to do this material. I was going to cover this material, and it was like going back to college, and it was interesting, and I really enjoyed doing this. So if anybody wants to help out on Facebook that's watching and share to groups, go ahead. But I'm going to start once I know how many people are joined. We have enough people. I have a video I made to start out like I do usually with Jennifer. I'm going to put it on now, and then we're going to have our discussion about all of this crap. And I will just quickly say hi, Karen and TCR Galaxy and Alex from the UK, and Cindy and Echoes from Naught, and Kim. Thank you, Kim, because Kim, I know you'll share. All right, so it's not a lie unless you know it's not true. Well, we'll see. Okay, so let's start out with the video, all right? And enjoy it. Thanks for coming.
American songwriter Paul Simons once said, "A man sees what he wants to see and disregards the rest." But that doesn't apply to you, right? Well, maybe that's just because you don't want it to. Like it or not, we as human beings tend to think that our initial opinions are correct, and when presented with the facts, we pick out the ones that suit our presumptions best. This is called confirmation bias, or the tendency to favor information that confirms one's own assumptions or preconceptions, whether they're true or not. Experts describe this behavior with a simple analogy. A Texas sharpshooter decides to go out and practice his shooting on a barn. He unloads dozens of bullets randomly and spots a few clusters of bullet holes. He then paints a bullseye over the clusters, making him seem like a really good shot. Sounds weird? It's called the Texas sharpshooter fallacy, and your brain does it all the time. Why does this matter? Take a trip back to 1960, during the Kennedy-Nixon presidential debates. People who watched the debate on television saw a disheveled Nixon contrasted with a handsome and confident Kennedy. By looking at the person, they began focusing on points where Kennedy won because they wanted him to win. Contrast this with the listeners who, for the most part, declared Nixon the winner. The next time you jump to a conclusion, ask yourself, is it true, or do I just want it to be? The answer may come as a surprise.
Fact patterns that nature cannot make. In addition to our testing of precipitation from around the globe, which has yielded without exception the climate engineering components in the precipitation, aluminum, barium, strontium, polymer fibers. We have just at great expense and great effort completed atmospheric testing using a flying laboratory that NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, also uses, and we have just confirmed the same climate engineering elements that were emitted from aircraft in a layer that we flew through. We have just confirmed this, first type of its test ever. This is a court admissible type of evidence. I could go on, but the bottom line, in addition to all this, we have film footage of these aircraft at altitude turning on and off. You can't turn condensation on and off with the nozzles visible. As you see in that particular image you're showing now, you can see the nozzles on the wings. We have up-close photographs as well.
And there's the little chemical formula there, and you'll notice that for every molecule of jet fuel, which is actually kerosene, you will get a molecule of water. So 1 tonne of jet fuel will produce roughly 1 tonne of water. Now I've done some checking, and over the United States in any one day, about 230,000 tonnes of water are produced in engine exhaust trails. Now that's where you get this huge mosaic of what appear to be contrails. They're actually technically defined by the World Meteorological Organization as cirrus clouds. And the persistence can vary from a few seconds to 20, 30 minutes.
Although this virus may be very real, the panic that is being created is completely unwarranted. Crashing the market, frightening the citizens, and stressing out the population, all because a bunch of sadistic assholes want Trump out of office before he exposes their crimes. Somehow, they even managed to create a shortage on toilet paper products when there's not even one intestinal symptom to this virus. The media and the Democrats are playing us like a bunch of puppets, and all this is doing is revealing people's greed, pettiness, and selfishness. Meanwhile, while you wealthy liberal do-gooders smile as our economy falls, and the events around the country shut down, the people that you claim to care about no longer get tips at work. They no longer get customers in their small businesses, and are no longer able to pay their rents. I remember how the last pandemic went down, and Obama was a failure compared to how the president has handled this. No matter how
Past that, but then I looked a little further, and there is a patent on it. It's patent US 200-625-7852, a US patent on the coronavirus, and it was applied for, and it's called severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus, and that was applied for in 2006.
The government introduced the coronavirus in 2018, and Bill Gates was somehow responsible.
Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is one of the most humanitarian foundations in the world, financially speaking. They're literally doing everything they can to eradicate disease, bring fresh water to people, and we're gonna blame this on them?
Japanese doctors treating COVID-19 cases say that you should ensure your mouth and throat are moist, never dry, so make sure you're taking a few sips of water every 15 minutes.
Skeptical to the source. I don't know if necessarily Japanese doctors came out and said this, but there's partial truth to it. If you have dry mucous membranes, they are more likely to crack. When they crack, you actually have a higher possibility of getting infected with a bacteria or virus. So yeah, you should be staying well hydrated, you should be drinking. Will it protect you 100%? No, but it's a good way to make sure that you're doing the best you can to stay healthy.
Hand dryers are effective at killing coronavirus.
I don't think that's the case. It certainly hasn't been proven. Also, CDC recommends drying your hands through the air dry method, which is you just naturally let your hands dry, or using a paper towel. Reason being, there was a study that I actually talked about on this channel that showed those ultra high speed dryers actually blow bacteria and viruses all over the place, especially if you don't want.
Well, I hope you liked that. Thanks for coming. So I'm going to start today with a discussion, actually, and it will be with you. And again, this is nobody necessarily, this is not focused to anybody or on anybody. It's just interesting as hell. And real conspiracies, they do exist. Remember Volkswagen? They conspired to cheat the emissions tests for their diesel engines. Or remember the U.S. National Security Agency secretly spied on civilian internet users. And remember the tobacco industry deceived the public about the harmful effects of smoking. We know about these conspiracies through internal industry documents, government investigations, and whistleblowers, right? So, but also, let's not forget about the 2016 elections and what a mess that was. That was a mess, right? So, coronavirus. I've heard of them. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of coronavirus. It was listed on the back of the can of Lysol for at least 10 years, maybe even 20 years, right? It's not new, people. The particular variation is it's more communicable, it's less deadly than its predecessor. But as far as, conspiracies with people talking about the, Gates, for example, Bill Gates, as far as him, he was hosting a study on global epidemic that would impact global markets. And people have been saying, oh my God, it's Bill Gates. He and a lot of the other CEO upper execs in his circle, they cashed out in the time just before this became a thing. But you know what, guys? The only conspiracy here is that it was a cash grab. That's the conspiracy. It was a cash grab. So in the 1960s, there was a cognitive psychologist named Peter Cathcart Wason, and he conducted a number of experiments known as Wason's rule discovery task. He demonstrated that people have a tendency to seek information that confirms their existing beliefs. Unfortunately, this type of bias can prevent us from looking at situations objectively. It can also influence the decisions we make, and it can lead us to poor and faulty choices, which is where the confirmation bias comes in, which is the tendency to interpret new evidence as the confirmation of one's existing beliefs or theories, right? And it's a very powerful social dynamic that allows conspiracy theories a la Alex Jones type stuff to flourish in an otherwise enlightened society that we are. It's confirmation bias. When the brain comes to a conclusion, information which supports that conclusion is easily assimilated and added to the mental library of facts. So this has a reinforcing effect, and it allows contradictory information to be it's dismissed as false. Ironically, the explosion of information on the internet, that's made the problem worse, not better. It's more information. It may mean more correct information, but it also means reinforcing falsehoods from conspiracy theorists to assimilate. Conspiratorial echo chambers form, and that creates those communities of people who believe everything from the lizard overlords secretly running our government to passenger jets spreading mind control chemicals across the country, right? So during election season, for example, people tend to seek positive information that paints their favored candidates in a good light. And they will also look for information that casts the opposing candidate in a negative light. But by not seeking out the objective facts, guys, interpreting information in a way that only supports their existing beliefs, and only remembering details that uphold these beliefs, they often miss important information, really important stuff. The details and facts might have otherwise influenced their decision on a candidate to support. The real dangerous part of this, or with any conspiracy, is that it creates this false understanding about an event or about people. It can feed stereotypes. It can feed racism. It can feed xenophobia. By creating a false structure, the way a conspiracy theory can, and creating false culprits in some cases. It can lead to damaging effects on our society, and we see this. We see it because we're on the internet, right? So don't we see this? I'd say that most conspiracy theories involve powerful, villainous forces that are out to get the little guy. Institutions, corporations, governments, and secret societies are often depicted as secretly trying to harm others. In the case of this new coronavirus, some may believe that the pandemic is a hoax perpetrated by the Democratic Party to politically damage President Donald Trump, or that it's a secret bioweapon unleashed on the United States by China. But social media, it has created this world in which any individual, I'm here talking, right? I'm any individual, can potentially reach as many people as mainstream media, which I absolutely do not. The lack of traditional like gatekeepers, it's one reason why this disinformation and misinformation spreads farther and faster online than true information, often propelled by the fake accounts or bots. You see them all over Twitter. I mean, they've just joined Twitter and they're tweeting the same crap, but just over and over again. So likewise, the consumers of conspiracy theories, people that follow whatever it is that they believe, they've been found to be more prone to like and share conspiracy posts on Facebook. And I've seen a million of them, and much more since the 2016 election. But that's my own, private feeling. A recent analysis of tweets about the Zika virus, remember that one, found that a number of propagators of conspiracy theories was more than double the amount of the debunkers of those theories. So pages like mine and ours, I should say, YouTube's, whatever, we're in this little tiny minority. We're in a little tiny minority. But the other people, like I talked about in a prior video, Richie from Boston, all these people that spread a lot of things that I don't agree with, that are not based on science, but they've got 80,000, 90,000. I'm not whining about it. The point is, it's very telling. And it's exactly what I'm talking about. The spread of the false or misleading information, it's having real and negative effects on public consumption of the news. Internet subcultures are taking advantage of current media ecosystem to manipulate the news frames, set agendas, and propagate ideas. And this is on not just what, it's mainstream media. Far-right groups, they develop techniques of attention hacking. To increase the visibility of their ideas through the use of social media, memes, and bots, as well as by targeting journalists, bloggers, and influencers to help spread some of it. Now, the media's dependence on social media, analytics, and metrics, sensationalism, novelty over newsworthiness, and clickbait makes them vulnerable to such media manipulation. And I see it every day. While trolls like white nationalists, there's a lot of ugly, and they may diverge deeply in their beliefs. They do share tactics and coverage on common issues, which I find that is I don't know, it's easy for people to get sucked in, I suppose. And, some people could say that we, as part of the scientific media or blogs, whatever, doomosphere, whatever you call us, because we are abrupt climate change followers, but we watch and read and take part in the science of it, not sensationalism. I don't think global warming, as they used to call it, which I call abrupt climate change, is any kind of conspiracy. It is what's happening. But here's a question for you, and we'll talk after this, okay? Because I see a lot of people are having questions, and I want to talk after I finish my thoughts, all right? Because I have lots. Here's something I thought about and researched. Are conspiracy theorists, now this is cool, are they better at intuiting what's really going on? I mean, according to them, yeah. But according to neuroscientists, and this is like really interesting, almost certainly not. As it turns out, the real culprit may be the dopamine in their, our, whatever, brains. People who have higher levels of naturally occurring dopamine have been found to be more susceptible to conspiracy theories. One experiment even showed that non-believer subjects were more likely to see patterns in random shapes after receiving a drug designed to artificially boost their brain's free dopamine levels, like antidepressants, you know, those kind of dopamines, we have neurotransmitters, serotonin, dopamine, that all these different drugs are targeted to. Well, these people were seeing these random shapes, you know, after receiving that drug. And it artificially boosted their brain's free dopamine levels. So illusory pattern perception. It's a pretty simple concept. I remember it from my undergrad, and that's a long time ago. It happens when we find a meaningful pattern in random stimuli, drawing correlations and even causation where none has actually occurred. So, for example, you might dream about an elderly relative, and then you receive news the following day that that relative died. They passed away. For some people, that would be enough to conclude that their dreams can predict the future. I mean, really, seriously, that, and I have known people that felt like that, and that's okay. I don't put anybody down. That's not why I'm here. But sometimes I do feel that to reduce the impact of conspiracies and all the things I see on the web that just don't sit well with me. Sometimes I feel there's little point quoting any mainstream experts or even citing the scientific work or appealing to the facts or even teaching more science. I'm not a science teacher, but because all of these things anyway will be said to belong to a conspiracy, and it frustrates me. Now, there is something that I followed. I'm going to read this to you. These are the 7 traits of conspiratorial thinking. And it's pretty good. I got this from this was the Conspiracy Theory Handbook, Stephen Lewandowski and John Cook, and they are from University of Bristol. They're from Australia. And I'd really love to have this guy on because it's so fascinating to me. And I'm not at comments yet, guys, so we will be, though. But I'm fascinated by all this, and I hope you're enjoying and are staying with me. So, because I think it's just because of my background, my background, that this stuff is really interesting to me. Although I have a lot of friends that do follow a lot of different kinds of things, and I'm not ever going to put them down. You know, I'm not. But just remember, confirmation bias. You know, confirmation bias. I'm trying to make this a little bigger, but it doesn't want to get bigger, which is no, I can't get it up. Here we go. All right. Confirmation bias, the not seeking out objective facts, interpreting information to support your existing belief, only remembering details that uphold your belief, and ignoring information that challenges your belief. The confirmation bias, gosh, it's been around for a long time. So in these 7 traits, and let me see how long I've been on. Okay, 7 traits. And then we'll go to comments. Okay, wait, I was trying to shut something. You know I'm a one-woman show, so it's okay. I want to save changes to something else that's okay. One-woman show here. All right. So these are the CRISPRs or conspirs, and they are the 7 traits: contradictory, overriding suspicion, nefarious intent, something must be wrong, persecuted victim, immune to evidence, or reinterpreting randomness. The contradictory. Now, that's interesting. Now, I might not agree with all of his examples, but let's go. Conspiracy theorists can simultaneously believe in ideas that are mutually contradictory. For example, believing the theory that Princess Diana was murdered, but also believing that she faked her own death. Remember that one, if you're old enough? This is because the theorists' commitment to disbelieving the official count is so absolute. It doesn't matter if their belief system is incoherent. Next one is overriding suspicion. Conspiratorial thinking involves a nihilistic degree of skepticism towards the official account. This extreme degree of suspicion prevents belief in anything that doesn't fit into the conspiracy theory. Now remember, I'm not necessarily talking about any of you. I'm just doing a piece. Nefarious intent. This one I see a lot. The motivation behind any presumed conspiracy are invariably assumed to be nefarious. Conspiracy theories never propose that the presumed conspirators have benign motivations. I mean, I'm surprised I haven't seen anything yet that's showing me that George Soros hasn't been spreading this virus. Okay, something must be wrong. Although conspiracy theorists may occasionally abandon specific ideas when they become untenable, these revisions don't change their overall conclusion that something must be wrong, and the official account is based on deception. And then there's the persecuted victim. Conspiracy theorists perceive and present themselves as the victim of organized persecution. At the same time, they see themselves as brave antagonists taking on the villainous conspirators. Conspiratorial thinking involves a self-perception of simultaneously being a victim and a hero. And you know, there's somebody that I think about when that comes up. Immune to evidence. Not supposed to do that. Okay. You're immune to evidence. Conspiracy theories are inherently self-sealing. Evidence that counters a theory is reinterpreted as originating from that conspiracy. This reflects the belief that the stronger the evidence against a conspiracy. Example. Here's an example. The FBI exonerating a politician from allegations of misusing a personal email server. Who I wonder is that? The more the conspirators must want people to believe their version of events. Example, the FBI was part of a conspiracy to protect that politician. That one, I will not dive into. And these are Australians, remember. Maybe something like that happened there. Any Australians with us? And then reinterpreting randomness. So the overriding suspicion found in conspiratorial thinking frequently results in the belief that nothing occurs by accident. Small random events such as in intact windows in the Pentagon after those 9/11 attacks are reinterpreted as being caused by the conspiracy, because if an airliner had actually hit the Pentagon, then all the windows would have shattered, and they're woven into a broader interconnected pattern. So that's interesting, those 7. And I'm going to leave you with one more piece from these guys to reduce the spread of bullshit, basically, and stick with who we know, and stick with who really backs everything with science and research, okay? Not this guy. Do I recognize the news organization that posted the story? Does the information in the post seem even believable? Is the post written in a style that I expect from a professional news organization, or, like The Intercept or Vox, I guess? We get a lot of stuff from all over. Hi, Head in the Box. Is the post politically motivated? So those are 4 things that you could think about, according to Stephen and John here. And they also talk about pre-bunking, which is if people are preemptively made aware that they might be misled, they can develop resilience to these conspiratorial messages. This is called inoculation, and I studied that in college too, or pre-bunking. These are 2 elements. There are 2 elements to inoculating oneself: an explicit warning of impending threat of being misled, and refutation or the misinformation's arguments. Pre-bunkings of anti-vaccination conspiracy theories have been found to be more effective than debunking. And I'm not going there either. I am just the message deliverer at the moment. I do see a lot of things that bother me, and I always question everything. Skeptic. I'm a skeptic. So they go from pre-bunking to debunking, which I'm not going to go into because in the interest of time, I'd like to see some comments. And by the way, do you know who that is in that picture? You have to guess. If you know who that is in that picture, put it in your comments. All right. Hi, Osama. And Vegematic is here. Good. This is a great crew. I don't. Let me see if I had another one. That one, and I had that one, and I had that one. Well, that one we weren't going to go into. Put your guess as to who this is. Think about it. Okay, so now that I've talked about how I feel, and which was spurred by all these forwards on Facebook in my private chats, I will show the video at the end again. And in the interest of time, we're just going to do a few comments. And everything I brought up, guys, is for you to digest and you to think about. And whether or not you agree, you disagree, confirmation bias does happen. I'm sure it's happened to me. I'm sure it happens to all of us. I'm trying to be as objective and open about the subject. So, okay, let's see. Yes, Ed got it. Ed got it. Okay, Ed, you win for the day. Yes, Ed got it. That is our partner, Antonio Reed. I thought it would be good to put it up, but Ed, you got it. Cool. You're paying attention. Oh my, this is a good friend. Hi, Jill. How are you? I hope you were here for the whole broadcast. That's cool, because a lot of my friends now that we're on quarantine might get to watch me do my show every now and then. Not that I do a lot of shows, but I have been inspired, and it was really important. Jabbermocky is here. She is a fellow mod with me at the Nicole Sandler show, and I'll put a link in. Nicole's on every day, 3 o'clock Eastern, and she's primarily a political talk show, and I absolutely just love her. She's wonderful. Hi, Cindy. How are you? So I think that, oh, I see. Lazy thinking is the cause of most confirmation bias, or OCD. OCD is completely different. Obsessive compulsive. I'm not sure if we're looking at the same thing. Hi, Brian. When TPTB lie repeatedly and with no regard for damage, one has wait no one has a damn good reason to be highly skeptical. See Iraq. Well, that wasn't a conspiracy. That was true. We were lied to. But these are real things. These are real things. And we back then, I knew it. I knew we were being lied to. Those are the real conspiracies, like I mentioned in the beginning. Yep. Jabbermocky. It's so nice to see you here. Hope your governor does the same. People are piggish now. They're grabbing and hoarding. Maybe the guard can distribute more fairly. That's sad. I mean, I've always had stuff here, so I haven't had to hoard or grab because I prep. I mean, not prep for a long time, but for a couple of months. We always have enough for months of everything. Jabber says she can't get out to buy vitamins now. Been 3 weeks indoors, no car. Not much open. Grocery store was barren last time. Well, I hope you're going to do all right. We have something in common, both Jabber and me, and it's called Martha's Vineyard. Matt says if you can, ask your doctor to get your body's furin count. Is that in a blood work? Is that the regular kind of blood work you can just ask for? Okay. What? I'm not in your sub feed. Vegematic. How dare you? Well, you weren't on for a while, so I guess Google likes to mess around with things. And Matt says go back and look at his information, and he's got several groups on Facebook, and with a lot of science information about virus and all. Okay, this is why he talked about furin. When the viruses hack the furin production, it can then attack all organs and utilize any type of protein. Wow. Well, I don't want to get into a whole scientific discussion. I really, really just wanted to talk. Oh, Moose Gal, she had, and I can't find it. Oh, Sandy, do you think using social media helps spread lies more easy? Yes, but of course. Social media is a cesspool of lies or bullshit or whatever. But see, to the people that might not be. And that is where you have to be a very educated and discriminating consumer. I mean, back in the Alex Jones days, I would never followed Alex Jones. That's me. Would I put anybody down for it? No, I just discussed the dopamine aspect. I just discussed, confirmation bias and why things happen. I just would like everyone to be self-aware that all this crap that's flying around about this virus, you have to be very careful. And there are groups on Facebook that are, I think that are several groups on Facebook that are putting up material that is not bull, not fake, cleared by scientists or articles with a lot of references. And I'm going to have a lot of references for this work today because I have a lot of references. Maybe anyway. So I guess that I went through. I'm not going to do too many more comments. And I want to just say hi to Head in the Box if it's Brian. Thank you for coming, Brian. It's really cool to see you. Head in the Box is a terrific channel. If you get a chance, please subscribe to them. We have such a wide cadre of channels in our sphere. Call it what you may. The Doomosphere, the climate change channels, but there is a wide variety and always interesting. And they run the gamut. So you can find a lot of information. All right. Bed says with cats you're never alone. I know I have 5. And I really would like to foster some if the SPCA needs help, because I think I could do that and they'll find the homes. Anthony, you can't find a single roll of toilet paper. Where is that? Wait a minute. My month's supply will go down for now. Everybody seems to have that, but again, I put on the comments, I tell everybody I always buy a case of toilet paper, a case of paper towels, and shelves of food and all that, and growing our food and all, because we're out here. It's what I like to do. Be prepared. Hi, anthropomorphic facility. Anthrofax. And what does Chris call you? Antina. Restream, when I first heard questions about 9/11, I was outraged. But then I started considering the evidence. So much evidence. I'm not even disputing any of it. I'm just discussing what this is, because I have been on the fence with some of it. Some of it. Because I think at the time, I think Dick Cheney was the evil behind it. And Saturday Night Live wasn't wrong when they dressed him as Darth Vader. You have to be old enough. All right, guys, it's 42 minutes. We've got 3 minutes left because I'm not going to an hour. I can't sit for an hour. I just really, down to 3 rolls, panic is about to happen. I had some stuff I was going to put up I actually was going to put up, maybe I can find a couple of more. All right, here, I'm going to put this one on because this one really got everybody laughing on Facebook. Quarantine day 1, quarantine day 14. And let me tell you guys, I am not immune to that one. I would never eat a Little Debbie. Let me see if I got, let me see if I can pull up a couple more before we go, and that we could get a little laughter in the seriousness. Here's one. Contrary to popular belief, duct tape is not the solution to every problem. No, I guess it's not. I can't imagine doing that. But no shit. Oh my God. Thanks for coming, guys. Yeah, Osama, ouch. I don't know. I know I have hundreds of these. I mean, I have so many of these. Here's another one. These guys. And they're playing poker with their toilet paper. So you always got to have some humor. Serious subject today, but humor is a good way to end. And I am going to end playing the video that I created, and I'm going to say goodbye. And I really love y'all. And yeah, out there in Oregon, and everybody, yeah, she liked that, the duct tape one. Good. So I will, and thank you, Cindy, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Let me just check out the Facebook feed and see if I can. Thank you, Matt and Cindy and Mark Owen. Thank you for coming. Share if you dare. Okay. Hi, Phil. You had a whole gallon of ice cream before you had supper. You and your nephew. Well, good. Hey, Groot. All right. Great to see all of you. Fabulous. Stay to watch the video. I put it on the beginning too, but whatever. It makes a couple more minutes, but it was good. I liked it. So, peace, everybody. Thank you again. Over and out. We have a special announcement on the weekend. Me and Jennifer have a special guest, and I think it's going to work out. Okay. Bye.
American songwriter Paul Simons once said, "A man sees what he wants to see and disregards the rest." But that doesn't apply to you, right? Well, maybe that's just because you don't want it to. Like it or not, we as human beings tend to think that our initial opinions are correct, and when presented with the facts, we pick out the ones that suit our presumptions best. This is called confirmation bias, or the tendency to favor information that confirms one's own assumptions or preconceptions whether they're true or not. Experts describe this behavior with a simple analogy. A Texas sharpshooter decides to go out and practice his shooting on a barn. He unloads dozens of bullets randomly and spots a few clusters of bullet holes. He then paints a bullseye over the clusters, making him seem like a really good shot. Sounds weird? It's called the Texas sharpshooter fallacy, and your brain does it all the time. Why does this matter? Take a trip back to 1960, during the Kennedy-Nixon presidential debates. People who watched the debate on television, Nixon contrasted with the handsome and confident Kennedy. By looking at the person, they began focusing on points where Kennedy won because they wanted him to win. Contrast this with the listeners who, for the most part, declared Nixon the winner. The next time you jump to a conclusion, ask yourself, is it true, or do I just want it to be? The answer may come as a surprise.
Fact patterns that nature cannot make. In addition to our testing of precipitation from around the globe, which has yielded without exception the climate engineering components in the precipitation, aluminum, barium, strontium, polymer fibers. We have just at great expense and great effort completed atmospheric testing using a flying laboratory that NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, also uses, and we have just confirmed the same climate engineering elements that were emitted from aircraft in a layer that we flew through. We have just confirmed this, first type of its test ever. This is a court admissible type of evidence. I could go on, but the bottom line, in addition to all this, we have film footage of these aircraft at altitude turning on and off. You can't turn condensation on and off with the nozzles visible. As you see in that particular image you're showing now, you can see the nozzles on the wings. We have up-close photographs as well.
And there's the little chemical formula there, and you'll notice that for every molecule of jet fuel, which is actually kerosene, you will get a molecule of water. So 1 tonne of jet fuel will produce roughly 1 tonne of water. Now, I've done some checking, and over the United States in any one day, about 230,000 tonnes of water are produced in engine exhaust trails. Now, that's where you get this huge mosaic of what appear to be contrails. They're actually technically defined by the World Meteorological Organization as cirrus clouds. And the persistence can vary from a few seconds to 20, 30 minutes.
Although this virus may be very real, the panic that is being created is completely unwarranted. Crashing the market, frightening the citizens, and stressing out the population, all because a bunch of sadistic assholes want Trump out of office before he exposes their crimes. Somehow, they even managed to create a shortage on toilet paper products when there's not even one intestinal symptom to this virus. The media and the Democrats are playing us like a bunch of puppets, and all this is doing is revealing people's greed, pettiness, and selfishness. Meanwhile, while you wealthy liberal do-gooders smile as our economy falls, and the events around the country shut down, the people that you claim to care about no longer get tips at work. They no longer get customers in their small businesses, and are no longer able to pay their rents. I remember how the last pandemic went down, and Obama was a failure compared to how the president has handled this. No matter how
past them, but then I looked a little further, and there is a patent on it. It's patent US 200-625-7852, a US patent on the coronavirus, and it was applied for, and it's called severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus, and that was applied for in 2006.
The government introduced the coronavirus in 2018, and Bill Gates was somehow responsible.
Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is one of the most humanitarian foundations in the world, financially speaking. They're literally doing everything they can to eradicate disease, bring fresh water to people, and we're gonna blame this on them?
Japanese doctors treating COVID-19 cases say that you should ensure your mouth and throat are moist, never dry, so make sure you're taking a few sips of water every 15 minutes.
Skeptical to the source. I don't know if necessarily Japanese doctors came out and said this, but there's partial truth to it. If you have dry mucous membranes, they are more likely to crack. When they crack, you actually have a higher possibility of getting infected with a bacteria or virus. So yeah, you should be staying well hydrated, you should be drinking. Will it protect you 100%? No, but it's a good way to make sure that you're doing the best you can to stay healthy.
hand dryers are effective at killing coronavirus.
I don't think that's the case. It certainly hasn't been proven. Also, CDC recommends drying your hands through the air dry method, which is you just naturally let your hands dry, or using a paper towel. Reason being, there was a study that I actually talked about on this channel that showed those ultra high speed dryers actually blow bacteria and viruses all over the place, especially if you don't want